Good day, goeiedag, fellow South Africans, from a beautiful day in Brisbane. And what I want to talk to you about today is draining the swamp. That's why I've got this t-shirt on. Now, in a video I posted a couple of days ago, I talked about fiat money and what it is, and you can go back and have a look at that if you like. But the reason I'm posting this video is because fiat money is in a state of collapse, and this is all orchestrated. And when it collapses, if you've got money in the bank, when the financial system collapses, you'll have zilch, diddly squat. You'll have nothing, because fiat money is based on debt, and it's based on nothing tangible. So there's no gold backing it, there's no silver backing it, there's nothing backing it. Okay, so the whole thing is just a pack of cards ready to collapse, which is the reason I have always recommended owning some physical gold or some physical silver. Now, I'll give you a very interesting fact check. Back in the early 1920s, after Germany was completely devastated by World War I, and the Deutschmark just crashed into a big heap and was like Zimbabwe, worth nothing. Germans were selling their houses for a single gold sovereign because it had value. The thing about gold is that there is no third-party debt involved. You own the asset. There it is. There's the gold coin. When you use fiat money, it's all based on debt. Okay? Now, let's just continue on our journey here. With Cordova, this is this fellow back from 929, population estimated about 500,000 people back in the early 10th century. The amount of money that he got from tax per person was about $4,000. Okay? That is an eerily similar number to modern day tax figures. The most recent data from the Internal Revenue Service, for example, shows that the average individual income tax is just over $4,000 for every man, woman, and child in the United States of America. Here in Australia, it's probably very similar. Okay? It's an interesting data point that shows just how well gold retains its value over long periods of time. And not only that, but while currencies come and go, because fiat money currencies tend to have a lifespan and they crash and they're worth nothing, and the banks just clean up and they start something else, which is basically where the US dollar is going right now. Records from the same period in Islamic history show that the homes of wealthy individuals were worth about between 10,000 and 30,000 dinars, and much higher amongst the ultra-rich. Okay, so they had the rich and the poor, just like they do today. Now, those expensive houses were worth between $1.7 million based on gold and $5 million in today's money. Day to day, month to month, and year to year, the price of gold can fluctuate inexplicably, basically because it's controlled. I mean, we know this. There's so many reports, and if you just Google gold controlled price or silver controlled price, you'll get thousands of articles which bear out what I'm talking about. But over the long term, whether you're comparing loaves of bread, home prices, or government tax revenues, gold really does hold its value. This is one of the things that makes gold such an excellent hedge against political uncertainty, macromedia challenges, financial crisis, inflation, etc., which is why I'm advocating to South Africans they consider moving their money out of rands in the bank, and the banks hate you, okay, and putting it into physical gold, into Kruger rands or gold coins. You can go to coin dealers and buy even half sovereigns, which are about, a few grams of gold. So you don't have to buy 1 ounce of gold. But they will hold their value because it's based on US dollars. Okay, let's continue. Gold is an amazing hedge against uncertainty. Okay, said another way, gold is a great insurance policy for all the I don't knows. Okay, so where's the economy going? Now in South Africa, we know the rand's going to go. It's going to plummet. So it's a no-brainer that you put some of your money into gold to protect your asset. Global debt today, for example, recently hit an unfathomable level of nearly $250 trillion. That's debt, okay, which we as people living in this world pay taxes on or pay interest on. Total US national debt is $21.5 trillion, just the US. That exceeds 100% of the US's GDP, and it's growing rapidly. When Obama handed over the presidential reins to Trump in 2017, the US's gross debt was below $20 trillion, and it's gone up 10% since then. It gives you an idea of how it's just escalating. Okay, so Uncle Sam, or the US, is burning through cash so quickly that even the Treasury Department expects trillion-plus dollar annual budget deficits from now on. That's $1 trillion. That's sounding like Zimbabwe, isn't it, huh? Oh, you know those notes that I showed you, the 10 trillion, $100 trillion notes that couldn't even buy you a loaf of bread? That's where the US is going. Literally just 3 major line items for the federal budget: Social Security, Medicare, and defense spending, and interest payments on the debt cost more than all the tax revenue that the government collects in the United States of America. Let me repeat that. So, Social Security, Medicare, defense spending, and interest payments on debt cost more than all the tax revenue that the government collects in the United States of America. Now, believe me, in South Africa, it's a hell of a lot worse. Let's see why. They have to go to deeper and deeper into debt to fund everything else in the federal government, from Homeland Security to national parks to the light bill at the White House. But that's not good enough, considering these ballooning deficits are coming at a time when interest rates are rising. Now, the US has just raised its interest rates, okay? Now, what you have to understand about fiat money is, although the government can create it and banks can create money out of nothing because you have an asset, and that's what they do, everybody pays interest on it. And you know who the beneficiaries are? The shareholders in those banks. We're talking about largely Wall Street, okay? Big business in Wall Street. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, etc., etc., etc. It's like a form of slavery when you think about it. Because when you think about, at the end of the month, you've got to go and pay your credit card, and they've lugged you interest because you didn't pay the whole lot off. That's a form of slavery. Because what they're doing is they're just grabbing your income. And that's what is so wrong with the financial system today. Now, consider this fact, and this is a complicating factor, okay? 10,000 baby boomers, are the people who were born in the 1940s, 1950s, are retiring every day. And that means ballooning Medicare and Social Security payments. Meanwhile, there are fewer and fewer young people entering the workforce to pay into the broken pension system in, for example, the United States of America. And again, it's a lot worse in South Africa, believe me. By 2000, the ratio of taxpayers per retiree in the US was 3.4. Let me tell you an interesting fact. In South Africa, there are 6 people collecting Social Security on every single taxpayer. Think about that. Now, the Social Security is to pay for food and basic stuff like that, but that's how radical the situation has become. In fact, in America, in 2018, that was in 2000, in 2018, it's now dropped to just 2.6 taxpayers for every single person collecting Social Security. So you can see where the trend's going. And the US fertility rate is getting increasingly lower with all these chemicals and stuff that are now in our food and wherever. And it's getting dramatically lower, which is the reason why big business, desperate to keep on controlling investment and their own profits, is now working for open borders, because they want people like, let's take South Africa, they want people from the north to come in, and they will create a bit of GDP or gross domestic product, which will then keep them afloat. And they don't care about the impact that has on the general population, which is huge. There's around like 15 million people in South Africa today. And 80% of those people are not paying tax and dependent on Social Security, which is why the crime rate is so high, why people are so... there's a huge amount of people who just commit suicide in South Africa. South Africa is the crime capital of the world because the whole financial system is out of whack. Okay? Now, let's look at Europe. Europe is drowning in debt with radical political parties. Now, I would say that the radical political parties are really the lefty ones, but you've now got a resurgence of what they call right-wing parties in Europe because of what's happening with this influx of people like South Africa coming across their borders and just basically squatting. And the general population in those countries are saying, whoa, this is not good for us or for our future. Continuing on the theme, Japan, the world's third largest economy after the US and China, has a debt to GDP ratio of 236%. Yeah, you got that right. 236%. No way they can ever repay it. Okay, it's totally out of control. At 100%, you're out of control. 236% is just crazy. Japan's debt is so huge that the government has to spend nearly 25% of tax revenue just to pay the interest. So $1 out of every $4 that the Japanese government collects goes to pay the interest payments on its debt. Now, that is just way beyond crazy. So let's take a step back and summarize. The world's largest economy, the United States, has a ballooning debt, over 100% GDP today, and an unsolvable pension system. That a lot of the pension companies in America are insolvent, and they're basically having to, scramble around trying to keep paying pensioners money. It is just crazy what's going on. And some of the states in America are bankrupt. They're totally bankrupt. Yet with all this going on, America is starting a trade war with the world's second largest economy, which is China. Meanwhile, the third largest economy in the world, Japan, has to spend nearly, as I've mentioned before, $1 in every $4 just to pay interest on its debt. It's impossible to predict exactly how this is going to play out or when, but it seems certainly sensible that you have some kind of backup. And that backup system is gold. Now, let me tell you the most important things about gold, as I mentioned in my opening. Now, there's a 10-ounce gold bar from the Perth Mint. You can see how small it is. I can hold it in my hand. It's worth R250,000, okay? Very portable. Guess what? It doesn't deteriorate. That gold bar will look exactly the same in 1,000 years' time. And it holds its value. The difference between that and the Fiat system, which I've been outlining earlier, is quite simple. The Fiat system is a rigged, controlled system run by Wall Street. And what it does is it impoverishes people because they pay taxes to pay interest on debt that's been created out of nowhere. And it might be very useful when you think you can take credit card in and go somewhere. Certainly it's got its benefits, and we have to use it because that's the system we have. But there's nothing backing it. The whole Fiat system is bullshit. There's no tangible asset like gold backing the Fiat system. It's all debt-based. So you crash the financial system and your currency goes. So that's why I'm a huge advocate for gold. And I suggest to any of my South African friends or people who follow this channel is that you look at getting Krugerrands, or you look at going to the local coin dealer and buying little half sovereigns or sovereigns which have got a smaller amount of gold, and putting those aside somewhere safely. They're very small, very portable, and using that as an alternative to the rand, which without a doubt is going to follow the same route as Zimbabwe did with their Zimbabwe dollars. Once they start expropriating land without compensation. All right, guys, you have a great day, and don't forget I'll be on Sunday night on my new channel, so do subscribe to the new channel, and do subscribe to this channel, and let's keep in touch, and let's keep working together on solutions and options for people who are looking at the South African problem. Okay, take care, guys. Bye.